Hendo.
Hello. What's going on?
Oh, good. It's a busy week in the coffee world.
Oh, really? What's going on?
Well, we've got a week off, so the business always takes a week off over Christmas, which is a foreign concept to me because from the beer world, it's always the busiest time of the year. I've never taken time
Yeah.
off over Christmas.
Do people not
Um,
drink coffee over Christmas?
well, no, that's the thing. Is on the Gold Coast, a tourism destination, Christmas is the busiest time of the year. So business shuts down. All the coffee shops require all their stuff 2 weeks worth this week, and
Yes.
then if we successfully do that, we can switch off next week and have a holiday. But
Rightio.
yeah, it means twice as busy this week.
Are you starting to implement some of the things that you spoke about? Apart from
Yeah,
you talked a bit about the rebrand and you talked a little bit about online and all that sort of stuff. Is that kind of
yeah, I've
happening?
started.
And
Yeah, I've been working a lot on the bags. I signed them off today, so the coffee bags have gone to print as of today.
sick.
Ordered umbrellas and barriers and that kind of stuff. I've actually been working on a few quality things as well, which I might put into a post. I sort of was second guessing it a little bit because like there's
Mm.
some things the business used to do that I don't think they should have done from a
All right.
quality, production point of view. And it's sort of like
Mm-hmm.
always that balance of how much of your dirty laundry do you want to air in public. I've
Yes.
always I've
Yep.
always erred on the caution of just share it all, and transparency is, it's kind of my thing.
Mm.
But I don't want to like, offend people who've worked there in the past and done things a certain way. But we've changed actually quite a bit about how we do things. So yeah,
Cool.
good stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to talk about it. But yeah, it's funny. It's I think with coffee, with beer, it's very hard to cover your tracks if you're not producing quality beer. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, like people will notice.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I think with coffee, it's less the case if you're if it's mainly just supplying cafes, not like coffee nerds who are like, doing sensory on every batch type thing.
Mm.
You can
Mm.
get away with a lot more, but there was just stuff happening that I was like, I don't know if we should be doing that. And of course, the result is you spend more money to improve the quality that people may or may not notice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I'm a like you, an advocate for quality, and if something's happening in a way that you think isn't right, you got to change it.
Yeah.
So yeah, working on some fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
How about you?
Awesome.
You're home for the first time ever.
Oh, I was just so glad to get home on Tuesday night and just sleep in my own bed, and it was really good.
I bet.
Um, yeah, I got home from Bali on late Friday night after the big hailstorm and that sort of thing, and was straight up the Sunshine Coast the next day. You look like you're floating with
Yeah,
your
I'm
fake
looking at
background,
myself
and
in that picture. It looks like that
yeah,
meme
you're
that they
floating on a
superimpose
blurry,
over
like
other
cloudy
videos.
background, or I'm really high on some sort of psychedelic drug. What are you doing? Are
I'm,
you?
I'm just putting my fan on, but I couldn't remember whether one is the highest or the lowest. So
Oh,
um,
that's a thing. So
it
in
is
Queensland, one is the highest, but in New South
not in this
Wales,
house.
well, the electrician's fucked up.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Oh, it's like the
different in
schooner
different
thing. It's different
states.
sizes.
I'm
Okay.
sure there's a Sparky in amongst the 12, but I do believe that that is a thing where one is the highest in Queensland.
I will ask. So Geordie, my eldest kid, who's 15, almost 16, works with us now at the coffee at East Coast Roast, as it will be called. He's also doing an electrician apprenticeship, so I will give
Is
that to him
he?
as homework. Yeah.
I wanted to be an electrician when I was his age.
Well, both my kids want to be tradies because they're
Good.
kind
That's
of,
how you make bank.
that's exactly what they say. They're like, well, they make good money, and otherwise I could go to uni and not have any idea what I was doing. And I'm kind of like, well, I don't know how to argue with that. I went to uni. I'm doing
Can't
something
argue with
completely
that.
unrelated.
When
And
I finished high school, being a tradie was not very well paying, and
mm,
on these days, it's like, yeah. Anyway, have you got a beard?
yeah, yeah. I've got this light. Cerveza.
Flat. Flat. Oh, I've actually got something really interesting here today. I've got
Okay.
the Battle of the Hazies. So I've
Oh,
got
here we go.
the
Oh,
Hiker
nice.
Cloudscapes and the Helios Dionysus. So
Very
just they're
good.
gonna fight. They're gonna fight
Oh,
tonight.
good. Are they? So what? They're 375s or no? They're four
They're
40s.
440s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So fuck it. I'll start with the. Do I roll the can? Roll the can?
I
No,
feel
I'm
like
not gonna roll the can.
you should be able
So
to
because
answer that
this.
question more so
No,
than me.
I'm not a fucking cicerone.
Nah, you fucking open it and you fucking drink it. That's my
That's it.
strategy.
That's it. Keep it simple. Now I've done a lot of hard work on this glass today as well, so
Really.
hopefully
No.
see what happens.
You're doing the side pour thing. I'm just talking people through this who are
That's right.
listening to the
Yes, doing the
audio.
side pour. Sorry, I should raise that up
Oh,
there.
look at the color of that. So this is the hiker.
That's the hiker. That
Okay.
glass
Well,
is not too bad.
not too bad.
Almost. 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 I didn't get the I got the top of the glass, didn't do the bottom of the glass
No,
very
you didn't
well.
do the bottom. No,
At least I've got foam.
for
Anyway,
now.
cheers. Oh,
Cheers.
just smells fucking delicious.
That's pretty fresh too, isn't it? Didn't they just do that reasonably recently?
Mm. They've done. Oh God, that's so good.
Nice.
So
How many
good.
standos are you working with on that?
Let me just check, madam. 2.8.
Oh,
Game on.
okay.
Game
I'll
on.
tell you why I don't. I mean, this is a very, very bad excuse, but I don't live close to any breweries, and I went to Dan Murphy's on the way home because we need to get wine for Christmas. And I made a reasonable effort to go. I actually got beer. I got a 4-pack of Bolter Easy Hazies. Didn't taste good. They were the freshest
Mm.
ones I could find. They were
Yep.
2 months old.
Yep.
I looked at a whole bunch of other beers. I checked the dates on them. They were all 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months old. Um,
Mm.
and I just can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, don't blame you.
It's got to be fresh. Has to be fresh, especially for
Um,
that kind of beer.
yeah, man. Yeah. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh, you got back from Bali last Friday, and straight up the Sunshine Coast the next day, just hanging out with some friends and eating and drinking and swimming and just chilling out. And I stayed up there until Tuesday and had lunch with Taki Moore on Tuesday
Oh,
and
nice.
up in Noosa.
Very good.
And yeah, it was really good. You see, we chatted a little bit about you and
How's his
swapping
how's
Land
his
Rover.
yes,
Land
how's his
Rover.
Land Rover acquisition strategy going?
He's still looking, still
Right.
actively looking. He did probably one of the most insane things I've ever seen someone do on a Zoom call. So that morning, I was at my friend's place and he did a training session which I rocked up to. Actually, he didn't host it. It was hosted. It was this CRM application. Anyway, 3/4 of an hour into this hour-long training session, Taki jumps on his jet ski.
Oh, well, there
So
you go.
he literally did the last 15 minutes going down the Noosa River on his jet ski, just going, yeah, having a ball, yeah.
Has he got a phone? He's got a phone mount on there or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. He was just like, yeah, he was just holding his hand and all that sort of stuff. It was hilarious. It was just so. I saw him at lunch. I was like, dude, that was fucking insane, man. That was so good.
That's pretty funny.
And yeah, so it was good. And then came home Tuesday night, and I've just been on Zoom ever since. So, um, just catching up, couple of strategy sessions with some clients and all that sort of stuff. And last day tomorrow. I don't know if I'll get everything done weekend, but
Are
then
you
I'm going
having
to
next
take.
week off?
Yes, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So, probably going to head down the Gold Coast actually.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Hit me up.
Yeah.
What day are
So,
you coming down?
not sure yet. So I'm going up to my mum's on Christmas Eve, and then having lunch at my niece's on Christmas Day, and then back. I'll stay at my mum's on Christmas night because I'll have beers at lunch and she can drive. And then I'll probably head down the Gold Coast for a couple of days. Uh, might stop in see Smokey. Wanted to go out to Stanthorpe, but I just don't think I'm going to get the chance.
Danthorpe.
And Danthorpe, sorry.
Hmm.
But we'll see what happens.
Nice. Well, I would offer you a room to sleep in. However, I have my kids next week, so
Yeah,
I have no spare rooms.
that's all right.
I think I might have already offered you a room, and
No, you haven't offered me a
I have to
room.
take
We
that
do
back.
need to go boating though. So
Yeah. Um. Well, is this our last podcast for the year?
yeah, this will be our last podcast.
All right. Um. Should we end it on a high and talk about VAs and liquidations and
Fuck
all that kind
yeah,
of shit?
absolutely. Why not? Let's
All
get
right.
let's finish the theme of 2023 exactly as it fucking started with
Yeah.
VAs.
All right. Let's before I'll just rearrange this a little bit. So before we have this conversation, because I'm not exactly sure where it's going to go, but I wanted to sort of make the point that I've had a chat with a couple of people from the industry this week who who thought who thought our comments in our group about this topic were too judgy, negative.
Right.
Um, and I wanted to try to approach. I have my own position on this, right?
Sure.
And I've made it very clear. I think businesses should not be trading if they are not solvent. If they're continuing
Sure.
losing money, you're better off being honest and getting out front of it and doing it as quickly as possible, not racking up a lot of debt and fucking people over. That's my position. But
Yes.
it's not black and white. It is a gray area, and there are a lot of people in the industry that are struggling with this very thing. They've been whacked with every challenge imaginable, and they're right on the fucking brink, and they're sort of thinking, okay, is this something we're going to get over? You know, is it going to be a
Yes.
good summer? It's going to solve everything, or are we actually fucking done? And they're not 100% sure either way which way to go, but they're trying their best, and they think they're going to be on the right side of it.
Yeah.
And so we don't know when we look at these VAs whether these businesses are in that camp or if in the camp of kicking the can further down the road and worrying about it later, which has been my position. I suspect there's a lot of that going on.
Yes.
Um, but I want to say that up front.
And some convenient restructuring of debt
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, yeah. So I think before we have the conversation, let's just put that out there that it's a whole spectrum of different situations, and there's some that are very well intentioned and some that probably aren't. And
Correct.
there's no black and white sort of
Yes.
answer.
Yeah,
That said,
absolutely. And we have opinions, and the people and the 12 in the group also have an opinion, um and to be honest, even though I'd been through a liquidation before personally and that sort of thing, I got to admit I've learned a lot this year about the VA process and all that sort of thing. Like having
me too. Yeah.
just seeing the different circumstances in which they happen, how that
Mm.
affects employees, it affects creditors, it affects the ATO, the industry at large. It's been really interesting, and I feel like I've learned a lot about the topic. Am I an expert? Fuck no. Um,
This is not VA advice.
not even close. What was his name from Laurels?
Chris, was it Chris?
Yes, yeah, he was good. I learned a
Yeah.
lot from him, and despite the fact that we might have opinions and people might not agree with it, um, having a conversation about it is important and needs to be had.
Agreed. I agree with you. I just checked.
Agree with me or you or not care, but but at least the conversation is being had, and
Yeah.
I think our intention is that the industry will become a little bit better educated about it, because I've seen in a lot of the comments there's still a lot of people being misinformed about what the process is and what it's about and how it works and all that sort of thing. Um, so just to make sure that people are better informed and to sort of, um, just sort of whether you're in a brewing business and you are struggling, or whether you are an outsider, a beer drinker, or someone like you and I who are in you're not involved in the industry anymore, but um, who are sort of revolve around the industry. I think there's some interesting conversations that need to be had, and
Agreed.
Just sweep this shit under the carpet.
No, I think so. The episode we did with Chris from Morals was 9 months ago. I just Googled it 9 months ago. So that was, towards the start of the year. That's worth listening to. I think we were in some ways ahead of the curve there because there's been a lot of activity since then. And like you, I've learned a lot. One conversation I had this week was about a process, which again, I'm not an expert like you. I don't know a lot about this stuff, but apparently there's a small business restructuring type process
Yeah.
that is similar to a VA, but it's not public.
Yes.
And it fits. You have to be a certain category to make it into that process. And so
Yes.
this could be happening with companies, breweries, or otherwise.
Smaller ones that we're not even hearing about.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I think it's almost a similar thing. Like with Brews News, always cover the crowdfunding ones because crowdfunding is public because that's the one they know about. But a lot of breweries that are funded by investors that are also struggling. Yeah. And when they go out of business, there's just not as much public information, so you don't hear as much about it. So it's worth keeping that in mind. With all that said, the first news item is Dainton emerges from VA. And there was some details published in the Brews News article about some of their financial struggles, the deal that was approved by the in the docker.
Yes.
And their plans for the future. So did you want to?
Yeah. So, this is a really interesting one because it's a pretty similar story. And, if you just read the media release here, let me see if I can find because that's their words. It's not
scroll down on the Brews News article. It's got the media release down at the bottom.
Yeah, I've got it. What does it say here? Imported DBA advisory, developed a compelling deed of company arrangement. DocuSign. The administration process didn't change the way we operated the slightest. Beer production sales, tap house operation up and impacted. After a rather challenging period for the business, we are grateful that our restructuring proposal was approved. It's a really interesting one. I'm going to kind of swing back around that in a second. We're excited the opportunities ahead and being able to return Dainton to a position of strength. Moreover, we're relieved and proud of our shareholders, employees, and customers continue to journey with us. Without them, there would be no Dainton. Okay. There's some other quotes up here. Here we go. So Dan Dainton quote says, it says here, it was a really untenable situation for us. We had a massive debt with the ATO that we couldn't pay back in the time frame they required.
Yep.
Okay, this is the really interesting one. It's basically saying that the whole purpose of going into VA for Dainton was that there was a significant ATO debt, which I believe was about
1.4 or something.
1.2, 1.4. Yeah, it's 1.4 of $1.6 million, right? That's like fucking 75, 80% of the debt is just ATO. Now, whether that's excise or whether it's excise and PAYG withholding, that's a lot. Right? That's a lot. And so if you cast an eye back as to how a lot of these breweries, and there's a very common theme with a lot of the VAs over the course of this year, was that ATO debts were a big part of a lot of these breweries going into voluntary administration. All of these breweries have have one thing in common, is that they all took credit from the ATO during the pandemic, extended payment terms, that sort of thing, during the pandemic, right? And now when it comes time to paying it back, they couldn't. What's going on?
I don't know, Hendo. I mean, if you have a read between the lines here, like they've had a wholesale. The number one customer has gone from $2 million annually to 1.2 from 21 to 23, right? So in 21, which is post-pandemic, they were printing money. So I don't think it's entirely accurate to date this back to the pandemic. And I think, and again, we don't know a lot about this company. I'm only going what is written in this article.
It's there in black and white, mate. You've got Dan Dainton saying, we had a massive debt to the ATO that we could not repay back.
Right, but when was that? Yeah, okay. But when did that debt start accruing, and when did it get to 1.4 million?
Okay, all right. Well, let's take that out of the equation then. All right. So let's just acknowledge that there's a pretty sizable debt owed to the ATO that they couldn't repay. Okay,
Right, but I'm saying
how
I'd
that
say
debt
it
was
may not have anything to do with COVID. I'd be surprised if it
cool.
did. I would say it's got a
Okay,
lot to do
so
with the fact that their wholesale
and
business
to
is
be honest
hard.
with you, how that debt was accrued doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, right? The debt's there.
Well, I
Okay,
think it does matter because the story that's being told in all of these things is that this is a whole COVID thing. And I don't think it is. I don't think it's got
well, what is
anything
it
to do with
then?
COVID.
What is it then?
Well, have a look, like it's printed there in black and white. If you have a business where your number one customer gives you $2 million a year and you're
Mm,
structured and you're growing, so you're structured to think, okay, that $2 million is going to turn to at least 2.2 next year and 2.5 the year after.
sure.
And instead it goes from 2.2 or 2 million to 1.2 in a year and a half or 2 years or whatever. That's an unreconcilable situation. It's got nothing to do with free debt. It's got everything to do with this business does not work anymore. And if they've been able to fix it, that's possible. You wouldn't be able to know from those numbers. You would look
Sure.
at monthly numbers to look at the monthly burn. But if a business is wholesale, number one wholesale customer halves in a year, that business is not going to fucking work. Their margins are too slim. It's just not going to
Yeah,
work
sure.
anymore.
Sure.
Nothing to do with
Okay.
COVID.
And that completely acknowledge that. Still got the situation that the debt exists, right? Despite the fact that the revenue might not be coming in, the debt to the ATO still exists, right? In amongst all of the creditors, which the ATO is one of them, would be the usual suspects that we've seen in Dockers throughout this year, which is going to be the raw material suppliers, right? Which is
Yeah.
going to be, the companies that supply molten hops and cans and labels and all that sort of stuff, right? Now, here's the interesting thing: of all of those, it's bugged me as to why these companies that are not the ATO are agreeing to such small, like pennies on the dollar deals in Dockers
Mm.
so quickly, right? Or why they're agreeing to them at all. They could, I guess that in some respects it's the best deal that they're going to get. But here's the question: are those companies are they actually getting their 10 cents on the dollar or whatever, or are they getting 100 cents in the dollar? Right now, you're probably thinking, well, how the hell are they getting 100 cents in the dollar? That's not being
Well, I've
um,
got a fair idea because
because
Chris mentioned that on our podcast.
what's that?
Was it him that mentioned it? That
Yeah,
when he basically said like you have the Docker and then you have some sort of deals
you
outside
have
of the
deals on the
Docker.
outside, exactly. Now you've gone to like your Bintanis and your Cry malts and all that sort of stuff. What happens when you want to buy stuff from them? The first thing they do is you fill out a credit application and a director's guarantee,
Mm.
right? And so outside of the Docker, what is potentially happening, and I'm not saying this is fact, but this is very likely what's going on, is conversations are being had outside of the administration, must be happening outside of the administration process, where it's like, hey, just vote for the Docker, you'll get 10 cents on the dollar here. You've got a director's guarantee with us that will cover you for the balance, right?
Mm.
And so what's happening is all of these raw material supply companies may well be getting 100 cents on the dollar, or near
Okay,
enough to. Near
if
enough to.
that's
You can cut a
true,
deal, I suppose.
then how is that not another example of kicking the can further down the road? Because they're taking a business that is not profitable, that's got ongoing losses, and they're committing down the track to have higher expenses that are undocumented. Like, how are they going to pay those
But
companies back?
that's not my point, right? My point is not about the fact that that the businesses are still unsustainable and that sort of thing. But my point is this, right? So why is it that potentially you've got raw materials suppliers who could very well be getting 100 cents on the dollar, and the only form of debt in that queue of creditors where you don't need a director's guarantee happens to be the biggest creditor,
Mm.
which is the ATO,
Yeah.
right? This deal here, and it could be said about a few of the other VAs that have happened this year, um, um, have been purely, may have been purely designed to solely get rid of ATO and tax debt.
Right.
Right, knowing that the balance of any debt owed would be covered by a director's guarantee. And this is the thing that's real.
I get your point.
I think this is the thing that I find really annoying. Right, is that a got to think about the ramifications for the industry. So if this is indeed happening, right, and the ATO is specifically being the scapegoat of bad debts in the industry, right, then it's basically, certain players with the industry who may be gaming the system against the ATO and, and robbing you and I, the taxpayer, right?
Yeah.
If everyone else is getting 100 cents in the dollar.
Well, it's not just you and I, the
which we don't know
taxpayer.
if that's indeed the case.
No,
right?
but
And we'll never know because that's not public information. The fact that a debt might be collected via a director's guarantee outside of a DOCA is not public information. We will never know, right? So we can't say whether that's happening or not. But a director's guarantee is pretty solid stuff, right? And so you've got these businesses that are going into VA.
But you've also got, sorry, just to add to that, you've also got, if you look at the numbers on this one, you've got a pattern of deliberately not paying the ATO. You'd have to say that. Like if you look, and I know you don't think it's important when this happened, but if I look at a business that lost half of their wholesale business in a year and a bit, I think it's probably happened pretty recently. And I think 2023 has been a fucking bad year. 2022 was probably a great year for Dainton.
Yes.
And 2021 was probably a great year. And it's probably happened recently. It's probably crept up on them. And someone at some point has sat around a meeting and said, we can't pay our fucking debts. Which one should we pay? Which one shouldn't we pay? And someone has said, if we don't pay the ATO, we can let that run wild for a while. And at some point we can have a payment plan. If it gets really bad, we can go into VA and just not pay them at all. Yeah. And we'll just basically pay everyone else. And it's not just bad for the taxpayer. It's bad because, well, there's the whole trading insolvent thing, which I'll come back to.
Yeah.
But it's bad because
here's the thing.
The ATO rules are going to change. The ATO rules for brewers are going to change because they
have to.
They've been too flexible, and they're not going to just change to back the way they used to be. They will change to a point where you can't just decide not to pay, for that month. They will put in a system where you just can't avoid it. You have to pay.
That's right. But here's the thing, right? Is that I remember a couple of years ago, probably 4 or 5 years. It's 2019, I think it was around BrewCon 2019. It might have been 2018. There was some lobbying in play to try and lobby the ATO so that instead of excise payments being done weekly, that they could be done less frequently, so as to smooth out cash flow. Yeah. And we lobbied for this. Yeah, we got it, and
terrible idea.
And now we're reaping what we sow from it, right? And that sort of thing. So the taxpayer loses out. That's everybody, like you and I and 12 other people. But this is the other thing that really concerns me. If the restructuring of debt is done in such a way that suppliers to the industry get paid, the ATO does not, the federal government gets fucked over in the restructuring process, fucking good luck for the IBA to come up with any fucking lobbying for any excise relief for the next 5 to 10 fucking years.
Not just excise relief. I don't think excise relief.
Anything to do with federal grants and any lobbying that the independent brewing industry might be doing right now will get shown the fucking door because we've shown because you got to think as well. We've had the excise refund gone from $10,000 to $30,000 to $100,000 to $350,000 in the last 7 years.
Yeah, right? And the 350 is a fucking disaster.
And so that alone has cost the federal budget some money, probably tens of millions of dollars, I would imagine. Right?
Yeah, but you know what else has changed? We had the craft beer strategy in Queensland. Why do we have that? Because of craft beer is a massively growing industry, and craft beer is a big employer. right?
Sure,
So
correct.
what happens when these
Let's
companies crash and when the industry is not growing and all the people in the industry are not paying the fucking ATO? Where's it?
Well,
Why
I
would
want
the
to keep it
government support the
focused, but
industry?
no. There's this thing. I want to separate state government versus federal
Okay,
government, right?
okay.
Because that's the Queensland cooperating strategy is a state government thing and it's separate, right? But there is lobbying that is going on to the federal government for further excise relief, for longer payment terms. We won a $350,000 a year. We won equity with the wine industry for the wine equalization tax to the dollar, $350,000. The things that we are that the independent brewing association is lobbying for now is for that excise free threshold to be indexed. Well, fucking good luck getting that, right? Because we've proven that if you give us free money, we will take that free money from you, right? And then we'll trade in a poor way. Then business goes south, and then we will go into VA, and then you will get 10 cents in the dollar.
Agreed.
That's the
Agreed.
shitty thing about it, right?
And I think the 350 things just turned into a bit of a disaster. I mean, it depends
It's
on
turned into a joke. Yeah.
depends on where you are in the industry, but there's a lot of companies in this sort of Dayton
there is
level
no
that
fucking way that number is getting indexed in easily the next 5 years, probably 10. Right. So that $350,000, taking into account inflation and that sort of thing, is going to be back to the $100,000 in 5 to 10 years time. It's been worthless.
but that may not be a bad
some
thing.
companies can get can restructure their debt to only pay 10 cents in the dollar on excise debts. It's bullshit.
Okay. Right? I don't. The indexing thing, I don't think is going to change anything, whether it changes or not. I think the 350 is beneficial to small brew pubs, but it's very, very damaging to a whole bunch of breweries who are in the middle tier, like the Daytons, or the breweries that have multiple sites, which we can come back to. Something I sent you before was a company with multiple sites, and it just disadvantages them. So there's a whole bunch of people in the middle tier where basically they have to pay like 350K is nothing to them, and they have to price their product as if excise is part of it, because excise is part of it, and that money is not yours, it's the government's money. But then there's a whole bunch of brew pubs who don't have to pay that excise, and therefore they can price their product cheaper and sell cheaper kegs. And that just hurts the middle layer in the industry. So that 350, whether it's excise or not, index or not, I don't think is going to be.
It was interesting because
I get your point.
I started thinking about it when I saw Sean Astel's comment from, what was it, like fucking when that story came out and that sort of thing, and he was talking about, admittedly I'm not sure he quite understands how the VA process works, because it's like he's talking about the system that allows creditors get back cents on the dollar and allow businesses to continue trading. And it kind of got me thinking. I was like, it's kind of right, because the only creditor that's actually potentially getting 10 cents on the dollar is the ATO at the moment. Whereas the others could, and I kind of thought, there's director's guarantees. So
maybe.
I just don't think that.
I don't know if your director's guarantee thing in terms of suppliers, I don't know if that's as rock solid. That it would be an interesting conversation to come back to this document I sent you before. Are you happy to talk about this, or
what?
Did you have a look at it? The document I sent you, Savo?
Yeah.
Liquidation, the liquidators report.
Yeah.
I found this fascinating because this was
the which entity was this?
Well, I actually.
We're not going to say.
Yeah, maybe don't say, because I actually don't know how much of this is public. It's not a brewery. Actually, it's a distillery that also had some brewing operations.
Yes.
But this is our whole conversation around this has been, don't use this process as a way of kicking the can further down the road, right? And what I sent you this afternoon was a liquidators report from a few months ago for a company that had gone into VA. At the same time as it going into VA, there was a court order for it to be liquidated. So publicly, it was, okay, we're going into VA, we're going to do a restructuring and all this fun stuff. And then we looked at all the articles about them selling stuff. Actually, what was happening from a legal point of view is this company was being liquidated the entire time. And this document here is the liquidation, the liquidator's kind of report on the company. And it's fucking fascinating reading, because if you read some of the stuff in here, there's so many parallels with the beer industry. I mean, it's basically, it's basically a beer company. It's a distillery with a couple of venues. The liquidator decided that they basically suggested that they had been trading insolvent since sometime in 2022. And, the public was being told the story, we're just restructuring the debt. But actually, this company was fundamentally unprofitable. And that's something we've spoken about on this podcast.
Yeah.
If it's it's unprofitable, a debt solution, a restructuring is not going to help. And it's a fascinating read. And I hope this comes out as a public thing. I don't know if it will, but I don't know. I wanted to point your attention to, if you scroll down, there's a section. Well, there's all the financials in here. One of the interesting things, have you got it in front of you? Have a look at page 11, right? So this is something you've said on this podcast before.
Oh, yeah,
have you
the
got
table.
that's the balance sheet.
Yep.
So they've got one column there, they've got all the assets, right? And in the middle, they've got what the business value those assets at.
Yep.
So that's the number you see, like when you see an investor offer document or whatever, it says this is our balance sheet, this is what all of our assets are worth. On the right-hand side, they've got what the liquidator valued them at.
Yes.
So, I mean, the difference here is like the numbers are not even close to being comparable. Like on the left-hand side, it's almost $1 million.
Yes.
On the right-hand side, in the end, they sold plant and equipment for $270,000.
Yes.
So what that's saying is basically the business, from a balance sheet point of view, the business is worth 75%, 25% of what
they said
everyone was being told.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think this is very normal. Like they had stuff in here like the brand of the distillery was valued at $436,000.
Yeah.
Like that sits on the balance sheet, right? Okay. What happens when a liquidator comes in and he puts it up for sale on every website?
Fire
no
sales, everything.
Buy it.
No.
And it goes. This document goes to the detail of all the people that showed interest in the purchasing process. In the end, they only showed it to 3 people. One person bought it for plant and equipment value for $270,000. And it shows the process they go through. And it goes. There's another thing was really interesting. Down the end, it says it starts talking about trading insolvent. And this is something I've mentioned on this podcast before.
Which page is that?
It's on 17. So this is under possible recovery. So it's saying to the creditors, if you're reading this and you got, because this is by the way, this is a crowdfunded entity.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you'd invested in this company, the liquidator is basically giving advice on whether or not you can recover any of your funds.
Yes.
And they've got a section here on insolvent trading, and it reads out, basically, like we said before, it's a gray area trying to work out whether a company is actually solvent or not. And someone at some point has to make the decision whether or not they are. And the decision to keep racking up debt is only going to make things worse. But it lists the 12 things that the case law says gets looked at. Sorry, the 14 things in terms of whether a company is insolvent. And they go through every single one. And in the end, in this report, the liquidator basically recommends that this company was trading insolvent for quite a while.
Yeah.
And however, after a brief asset search of the directors, the directors had gotten out of everything and they couldn't be chased for any money. So they basically recommend not chasing them. But it's super interesting because if you look at this stuff, like these 14 things, continuing losses, right?
Liquidity ratio.
Liquidity ratio below 1 is a really interesting one. So if you look at the balance sheet of a company.
What's the liquidity ratio?
Well, that's saying if the actual value of the assets on the balance sheet is more than the debts, I think. Basically, if the balance sheet is in positive or negative, but not if it's a bullshit balance sheet with all of this rubbish that people have in the balance sheets about brand value and all the rest of it. It's what if you actually valued what you have?
Yeah.
And you also look at your debts.
Just read that list out, because it's just like these are the 14 indicators of a business that is trading while insolvent.
Well, you read it. I've talked enough.
So
you read it out.
Number 1 is continuing losses. Number 2, liquidity ratio below 1. Number 3 is overdue Commonwealth and state taxes.
Yeah.
Number 4 is poor relationship with present bank financier, including inability to borrow additional funds. Number 5 is no access to alternative finance. Number 6 is inability to raise further equity capital. They fucking done the dash there. Number 7 is cash on delivery or otherwise demanding special payments before resuming supply.
Yeah.
Right, so you've done your dash with your suppliers. Number 8, special arrangements with selected creditors. It's like, oh, yeah, I'll pay you before I pay them, that sort of thing.
Well, there is that, but also if you consider the fact, sorry, let me just say one thing about that point. If you consider the ATO deliberately put special arrangements in for companies who owe them a lot of money.
Yeah, that's right.
So a lot of breweries have that as a default. They've got a special arrangement with the ATO where they have to pay back in a different way than they do with other
payment plan. Yeah, exactly. Number 9, creditors paid outside of trading terms, right, which is paying bills late.
Yeah.
Number 10, issuing of post-dated checks. Oh, it's fucking brutal. You know you're fucked when you're doing that. Number 11, dishonored checks. I know checks don't really exist anymore, but you know, yeah. Number 12, payments to okay, just going back to issuing post-dated checks. So back in the day when you used to pay bills by check, it used to take up to 10 business days for a check to clear.
Yeah.
And so what you would do is you would give a check and you would date it 5 days in advance. You would give it to your the person you owed the money to, and you would say, don't bank this until this date, because that's basically illegal, right? To issue a post-dated check. So what you're doing is you're buying yourself an extra 5 days of credit terms. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Number 12.
You're kicking the can further down the road.
You are.
Yeah.
Number 12, payments to creditor of rounded figures which are irreconcilable to specific invoices. So just paying part payments and all that sort of stuff. Yep. Number 13, solicitors' letters, summonses, judgments, or warrants issued against the company. Sure. Number 14, inability to produce timely and accurate financial information. Yeah.
I mean, I read through that list and I was like, holy fuck. If every brewery went through that very honestly.
How many of those 14 would you check the box?
And I think that you'd have to assume it's in order of, you know, the things that really matter. And number 1 on there is continuing losses. And I think that makes my point, which is all of those things in there are not cash flow problems if the company's losing money.
Yeah.
Right? People say, okay, cash flow problems, you know, we need longer terms.
You can be profitable and have cash flow issues.
100%. But you can't solve cash flow problems if you've got an unprofitable company.
If you've got unprofitable, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I wonder how many, you know, not just breweries, but businesses who wind up in that situation tick off how many of those 14. Except for checks. No one uses checks.
No, it's probably an old case. So it comes from case law. So yeah, I don't know how old that case is, but it's super interesting to see that. I mean, and the decision of this person, which it's not going to really matter to the director, was basically when he looked at all of this stuff that was going on throughout a time when publicly the company was saying everything's fine, we're just doing a little debt restructuring. He said, no, actually the whole time I think you were trading insolvent.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're losing money as a business and all you're trying to do to manage your cash flow is kick the can further down the road, then you're probably trading insolvent.
Yeah. Very interesting.
All right, that's some dark shit. We got any good news? What have we got now? Adam Beer update.
Oh yeah, Adam Beer. I got to try it today.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
I was at Hiker Brewing Company today, and you know who wasn't there? Wasn't there?
What do you mean?
Wasn't there?
He lives there.
He wasn't at home.
Wow. Okay, gone out.
And I'd spent maybe 90 minutes there, and there was no Adam Shell there. Right?
That's weird.
Yeah. So I got to try the Adam Beer, a little bit of the Adam Beer out of the barrel.
Oh.
It's a really interesting beer.
I bet.
It needs a little bit more time in the barrel, but it's really interesting beer. So I think it was the way in which you mashed in. I think probably did the job there, I think.
100%. I was, very responsible for the
production. I'm looking forward to that one. I won't be at the Adam Beer launch because I'll be on a plane.
That sucks.
I know. I'll be mid-flight. Hopefully I'll have internet. on the plane, so I can listen to the hottest 100.
Mm.
But that beer tastes pretty good. Anyway, you know who I did see on the way out when I was riding home on the scooter? I was like sitting at the lights at the end of Pentex
A
Avenue,
different Adam Shell.
about to turn right and go down whatever road that is towards Rockley.
Okay.
And I'm sitting at that like disjointed intersection there at the end of Pentex Drive, and wait for my turn at the lights, and this bloody car goes by with a guy head hanging out the window and his middle finger flipping me the bird. It was Adam Shell.
No.
Yeah,
What?
he was on his
So he
way to
was
Hiker.
there.
No, he
Oh,
was on his way there.
come on. Oh, no way.
Driving up from Ballistic.
I thought I saw a photo that he posted of someone on a scooter. I was like, there's no way that's Hendo, but
That's
it was
me.
actually
That was
you.
me. That was Adam Shell.
Oh my God. Okay,
He
that
was
makes more sense.
like he's sitting at the lights. He saw me. He goes, "There's fucking Hendo." Takes the photo, drives off, drives past me, goes, "Eh," and I'm like, "See you." So
Oh, that's funny.
He's such a legend, eh?
Nice. All right, well, good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it. And that's good. So it's going to be released on Hottest 100 Day at Hiker.
Yep.
And it's not going to be a meetup.
Come and join Dan.
Yeah, it'll just be me. But
Come and
I will
join
go.
Dan.
But that's going to be a good time. Oh, speaking of Hiker, dude, Hiker's getting some press.
Mm.
Crafty Pint best
Phil
beer
Sharp
of
keeps
2023
appearing in my
Queensland.
Facebook feed with the Crafty Pint thing.
Wait, say that again.
Phil Sharp keeps appearing from Hiker, keeps appearing in
Yes.
my Facebook feed and all that sort of stuff. So
Exactly.
Queensland had a good year. This is the article on Crafty Pint about the best beers of 2023 : Queensland by Mick Wast. And a great read, by the way, because, man, we've got a good scene up here.
Yep.
Good festivals. You know, I still haven't been to, is that one on the beach? Crafted. Haven't been to that one yet.
Oh, dude. That's the
I'm
one.
going to go. I'll go this year.
Okay.
And Brewcon on the Gold Coast, which was excellent. And then we had a couple of brewery closures. Standout beers, Mouth Holiday, Bolter, Felon's Barrel Age beers, Heads of Noosa Black Japanese Lager, Helios Dionysus, I've got right here. That's my next beer. Aether Biscoff Porter, which was the Gabs People's Choice.
Yep.
Working Title, continuing to do some pretty innovative stuff with yeast. And Breakthrough Brewery, Hiker Brewing Company.
Nice. How good.
And I would also add on top of that, we with Queensland in particular, and probably Southeast Queensland, we've had a lot of good lager released this year, right? Which I've been highly impressed with, right?
Yeah.
Got this bloody Hiker Charlie's Creek El Nino Mexican lager thing that Dan brewed, which I've already had, which is fucking outstanding. We've had Felon's Crisp continues to impress. The Bolter Cerveza, which I haven't had, which I would imagine is going to be pretty good. Heads of Noosa Japanese lager is amazing. The Newstead lagers that are being done this year have been phenomenal. The Newstead Japanese lager was excellent when I was there a few weeks ago. And they continue to rotate their lagers quarterly, I think. Maybe they're still doing that, maybe not. Maybe they're just sticking with the Japanese lager. It's been great for that style. It's been great. And I've probably missed a few notable lagers there and that sort of thing. Probably add the Madoc, Tradition Technique lager, whatever that's called, in there as well. Which is a cracking beer.
What about the Holgate Cerveza? Did you enjoy that one?
That was from 2014.
We'll come back to that one.
That's so funny. So yeah, it's been really good, and we've got a climate that suits lager, and actually having a lager dedicated festival as well. Might I add, having Lager Palooza, at Felons, which was also amazing. it's like we've, Southeast Queensland has become this part of Australia that's got the weather for, drinking lager, and finally we've just cracked that old chestnut of making a good one, and I'm really, really happy about that.
It makes sense. Speaking of felons and festivals, if you recall the dead wrong that I suffered on this program about felons and their barrel aged beers, right, was probably the biggest dead wrong we've ever had.
Fuck yeah.
But last week on the program, we were talking about
Right.
beer festivals, if you
Yes.
recall,
Uh-huh.
and you said there are no beer weeks left.
Oh
And
yeah.
I've
Straight after.
stumbled across an
Yeah.
article about Sydney Beer
Yeah.
Week next year.
Oh
And I think
yeah,
that's
no,
a dead wrong.
I got the DM. Oh, it was dead wrong. Yes, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. I could probably squirm my way out of it, and no, actually, there's nothing I can do. I was
I think you
fucking
just
dead
take
wrong.
the L on the
Yeah.
dead wrong.
So there is Sydney
Yeah.
Beer Week. It is coming back in 2024. Um, I did so I got dead wronged really badly on that one. And Pete Anstey, who's one of the owners now of Sydney Beer Week, who runs Sweeney's pub in
Yeah.
Sydney. Great pub. Go there, go to the rooftop bar, eat your
Rooftop,
chicken wings.
the
You
best.
can't go wrong. And he sort of DM me, he goes, "Hey man, you forgot about me," because when you posted the link in the Facebook group, and I went, shit, you're right, because he and I had a little bit of a faux pas about maybe nearly 10 years ago now, where I was with Brad Flowers. I don't know if you know Brad Flowers. He's like Sydney Commission rep, was looking after Brew Cult at the time. So I was in the back of a cab during Sydney Craft Beer Week, going from one venue to the other with Pete and Brad Flowers. And Pete runs a whole group of pubs, right? And I happened to be in this other pub in the Sydney CBD, and I cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head, right? And they were doing Francis Canner Weiss beer off a beer engine, a hand pump.
Nice.
And I'm sitting in this taxi going, man, I don't know what the fuck is with this pub, but these dickheads are doing fucking Francis Canner Weiss beer off a beer engine, man. I just could post this online and just slay them. And these two boys knew exactly what was going on because it was his pub.
Oh,
And they just sit there silent, just chuckling at me and that sort of thing. And I was just like bitching about German Weiss beer being served off a hand pump, and they were just giggling. And I went, "What's so fucking funny?" And he just goes, "That's my pub."
nice.
And I was like, and so that's been the theme with Pete and I over the years. It's like, and that's what this was this week. It was another Francis Canner off the hand pump moment there.
Nice. Well, I'm happy to end the year on a dead wrong for you because I've been
Oh
carrying the
shit,
load.
yeah, yeah. I'll take it. I'll take it. It's fine.
Right, we've got a long list of Hendo reacts. I
Oh,
would probably
cool.
go no volume because there's a bit of
Copyrighted
copyright
music.
strikeable music. But if you want to
Rightio.
share your screen, let's get. And there's not many questions. Actually, there's only one question. So we'll wrap it up on Hendo reacts and then we'll just do the one
Okay,
question.
so no sound.
I would say no sound. Yeah.
Rightio. Can you see my screen?
I can see it. Yep.
Okay. First one is Facebook. I can probably make the sound and you not hear it. Oh yes, this is the Holgate from 2014, April 1st, 2014. Where Holgate were going to come out with Holgate Hombre, Mexican lager. Oh, how the turntables now in
Oh yeah.
2024, where we've got Mexican lagers coming out the wazoo. I thought that was absolutely fantastic.
So they put this out in 2014 as a piss take
As
because
an April Fool's joke, it's 1st
April
of
Fool's
April.
joke. Yeah. Isn't that
Yeah,
amazing?
it's no longer an April Fool's joke.
Oh, that one hurt.
Um, Reel. Okay, here we go. Facebook Reel. I'm going to play the volume.
Yeah, no, don't do the volume. This is the one you don't want the volume on because
No, I'm
it's
playing
got.
the volume.
Oh, okay. So you can hear it,
So
but I can't
basically,
hear it.
it's actually playing Land Down Under, and it's a whole
Yes.
bunch of AI generated images of Aussie guys with kangaroos on their t-shirt drinking beer.
It says
Oh my god,
make the most
it's making
Aussie.
craft beer. Yeah,
Yeah, make the most
it's
Aussie craft beer drink. It says from
oh my
beer
god,
brewer.
he's got a 6-pack and tattoos. Give them more Australia and more craft beer. Give us the ultimate Australian craft beer and the purest. Oh my god, it's just tattoos and Australiana and hats and more Australia. Oh my god, giant glass, big map of Australia. Isn't it funny how all the AI art looks the same? Oh my god, is it throwing up?
Oh,
What's going on there?
well.
Impeccably thirsty. Yep, that's the way. Look at those fucking. Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's
The
so
first
yeah.
one is pretty accurate. Like that first one
It's
actually
actually
just looks
really
like
really accurate. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. What have we got here? Oh, LinkedIn. Oh, getting about, are we, Dan?
Yeah, you're gonna like this one. You're gonna love this one, Hendo. I know how much you
All
love
right,
Brewdog.
James.
So
James Watt.
I can
Brewdog's
see your DMs
2020.
there. You're getting spammed by all kinds of people there.
Brewdog's 2023 in numbers. We made 367 million cans of beer. We welcomed 16.7 million customers to our Brewdog bars. We were ranked in the top 100 companies to work for in the UK. Lost Lager is the UK's fastest growing beer, and we have 180% more customers buying this year than in 2022. 129 Brewdog bars, including Gatwick, available in 57 countries. The number one imported craft beer in France, Italy, Sweden, Netherlands, Japan, Dubai, Spain, Ireland, Denmark, Switzerland, Finland, and Austria. Purchase intent increased it. Second most loved beer brand behind Budweiser. 4.2 cans of Brewdog are sold every second in UK grocery. Wingman is the number one best-selling craft beer in 4-pack in UK supermarkets. Blackheart is already selling about 13.7% of Guinness's sales in UK grocery. That's a good number.
Oh yeah.
Alcohol-free mixed 6-pack, best-selling alcohol-free mixed pack in America. Busiest ever week for Brewdog bars with 3.54 million in sales.
Last week, the busiest ever week for Brewdog bars. Last week.
Yep. Well, it's Christmas. Everyone's drinking.
That's fair.
You ever been in the UK in silly season?
Well, they've been 57 countries. There's 129 bars across the world.
When I was living in London, holy shit balls. When office workers in the UK go to Christmas parties, it's brutal. It's a fucking war zone, hey?
You know, this
Anyway,
year having a business that doesn't have a Christmas party is a fucking joy.
Yeah.
I gave everyone a present and we're not having a party, and it's awesome.
That's right. Brewdog beers, chicken pizza?
No.
Okay. Brewdog beer sales have grown 82% from our Australian brewery. Fair enough. 227.
82% beer sales
growth
from the Australian brewery. Is that not an interesting stat?
Mm-hmm. Very interesting stat. I don't think they were doing much last year, though. But they're doing a lot now, which is good. 227,000 equity punks that can't sell their shares. New canning line at Brewdog K2 can fill 60,000 cans per hour. That's fast.
Jesus Christ.
What was yours? What was the one at Black Ops 2 doing, the new one? About 12,
we
14,000, wasn't it?
Measured per hour. We measured per minute, I think.
Per hour is how you do it, like how the pros do it. Right?
Once you get to that scale.
So yeah, it's an interesting performance for the year.
I mean, I put this here for a couple of reasons. One, because I know you don't like Brewdog, and I wanted to see what it was like for you to read out all these amazing statistics. But
yeah.
Two, like I've said on this podcast a couple of times before, not everyone, and it's not good news to anyone in the Australian scene, really, that Brewdog are doing well, but not everyone is doing badly. Some people are actually doing quite well, and those are pretty fucking good highlights.
There are some breweries in Australia that are doing well. There are some breweries around the place that are doing well. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. What's the next one? Instagram. What have we got here? Oh, this is the Young Henrys and their, oh my God, this is an ABAC complaint going to happen.
Is it? Yeah, I wanted to ask you this.
Yeah. Yeah, someone's going to complain. So basically, it's two skateboarders going down a hill. Now, they're not drinking per se.
No.
But one of the skateboarders is standing on a skateboard with a box of Young Henrys on the skateboard. Then he's standing on the box of beer. Yeah. I can see this become. If someone complained, it would probably get upheld. To be fair,
What would be the? We should bring up the guidelines and work out which part of it it's contravening, because from memory I can't think, unless these guys are like young, I can't think.
it's associating. I would probably say it's something about associating buying alcohol, and doing sports or
I don't
dangerous
think there's anything about
activities.
buying alcohol in sport. I think there's drinking alcohol in sports.
So because they're not drinking it.
They're not drinking it.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
Tough
let's be
one.
honest, it's probably not even a carton of beer.
No, but it's representing a carton of beer. So
Right.
interesting.
Hmm.
I would probably say we'll probably see it a subject of an ABAC complaint in the near future.
That's fair.
Oh, what the fuck is this? Twisting a stein of beer around and whoa.
Can you explain to me what
Okay,
just happened?
that's going round her head, twisting it, her wrist. That's just like, that's insane.
Yeah. What the
Twisting
fuck
a
is
stein
happening?
of beer around her. She's holding it by the handle with her hand through the handle, and she's twisted it like 3 or 4 times around her wrist and around her head without putting it down, and then taking a sip out of it. It's impressive.
I don't understand. Should we make this a challenge at the meetup we're having that you're not coming to? If you can do this, you
Yes.
win like $50 or something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hendo React 6, HR6, another Instagram.
HR6. 7 Hendo Reacts is a record for the most amount of Hendo Reacts.
That's huge.
Okay, wait. Okay, this is
the beach.
This is my metaphor for the craft beer industry. Okay,
How I
stick with me
paddle.
on this one.
How I paddle in my dream. So it's a guy who's gotten in like a canoe.
All right, so this wave coming
and-
here is
and he's
2022.
paddling. Yeah.
That's 2022.
Yep, he's going backwards and he's trying to go forwards. Oh shit,
Right.
there's a big wave coming.
This wave comes
she's not gonna
2023?
end well. Oh,
Just got
okay.
over it.
Yeah, just got
This
over
one
it,
comes
yes.
2024.
24,
Okay.
24.
Yep.
That's a big
That one-
wave. Oh,
that
he's not
one's
going to
coming.
make it.
That's
Oh, I just bashed into the shore break. Oh, that's going to hurt. Oh, the camera's pointing at the ground. Yeah, you reckon that's 2024, eh?
yes, sir. That's my prediction, unfortunately.
Okay. Next one, TikTok. Oh, oh. Can I play the sound on this one?
Yeah, you can do volume on this one. Yeah. Actually, you can share the sound. You can probably share the sound on this one. If you reshare the screen and do the sound share.
All right, so here we go. Rewind. Full screen. Here we go.
This is a bottle of Jack Daniels from
1978.
1978, and this is one we bought a few weeks ago. We're going to try these and find out if whiskey goes bad. Typically, whiskey is not going to go bad. It may not be as potent as it once was. The flavors may
1978 is a long fucking time ago.
and light are really bad for whiskey. Now, this bottle was bought at an estate sale, and it's been open for who knows how long. Now, Jack Daniels has changed what they release. So there's going to be some natural changes to the actual product itself, but we should be able to tell if this is still
Hendo, pause.
Jack Daniels.
Pause.
I'm going to refresh my...
Rightio.
Give us a prediction. What do you think?
I can see that the color of the two whiskies in the bottle are different. The old one looks darker, which would be a sign of oxidation.
Right, and not only is it old, it's also been open, I think he said, for God knows how long.
Yes, that's right. So it's been exposed to oxygen as well.
So you think, wait, you just crack a beer there?
Mm-hmm.
Dionysus?
Dionysus.
Give us a little quick review on that. We'll get crazy.
It's good. So where the hiker cloudscapes is more of a citrus tropical fruit, this is more of a citrus. This is more of a mango melon kind of thing. Very good. Very, very good. All right, we ready? What am I looking for here?
I want your prediction. What's this?
They're going to be different.
Taste like? Is it going to be disgusting? Is it going to be amazing? Is it going to be the same-ish?
I think he's going to like the old one.
Oh, okay. All right.
My memory with just a little good old-fashioned number 7 here. And that very much tastes like Jack Daniels. 1978 Jack Daniels. The flavors are kind of light and a little bit of rustiness from the oxidation, but if somebody just handed me that, I would just think it was a whiskey they had poured from something that they had just had. So this bottle, 100% has not gone bad. It is not as crisp and as delicious as the Jack Daniels, although it smells a lot better.
There you go. Jack Daniels will be here after the nuclear holocaust.
Yeah, it's like the cockroach of drinks.
That's it. Also, the one of Zach Brown on the walking through the pit lane.
Oh, I saw that.
Jack Daniels, Jack Daniels and Coca-Cola Christmas jumper.
Oh, did I not put that in there? I thought I put that in there.
No, it's not in there.
I forgot that. Oh, damn. Every time I see something that would be interesting for it, I save it in my notes.
Yeah.
And that's why I end up with like 7 of them. But I thought that one would be good. I saw that one.
That was good.
Yeah.
Oh, Zach Brown. Maybe we should switch to McLaren next year. What do you reckon?
Red Bull probs.
No. As in, like, Ferrari has just been a letdown this year for me.
Yeah.
And so I think, but McLaren has truly impressed. And I was not an Oscar Piastri fan at the start of the year, and he's had a great rookie season.
He's had a great rookie season.
And now that Danny Rick's back got a seat, I don't dislike Oscar Piastri so much.
That's fair. He's good too. He's
actually really good.
Remember he trolled was it Alpine he was with?
That's right.
Yeah. And his mum is amazing on Twitter. You would love it because you love the F1 drivers' mums.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole, she's great. So
I only love one mum, F1 mum.
But I mean, you don't hate Oscar's mum. She's funny on Twitter and she's an F1 driver's mum.
Yeah.
Rookie of the year, he won. I mean, I think he might have been the only rookie, maybe one other one, but
yeah.
I'm gonna predict next year. The thing is, like, you can win rookie of the year.
Good sponsors as well for McLaren.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
with
true.
Jack Daniels, you know.
Yeah.
I thought Dark Trace was a whiskey brand though. Is it? What is it?
What brand?
Dark Trace. That's on the rear wing.
I don't know. Look it up right now. Dark Trace.
What do you think it is?
Let's talk a whiskey. I actually got given whiskey today. Cybersecurity. Oh, it's like a what's it called? VPN.
Oh.
I got given whiskey by one of our suppliers today, one of those little tasting ones. Not Jack Daniels, though.
Right.
So look at that. Look forward to Christmas. Speaking of things to look forward to, we have only one question this weekendo.
Rightio.
It's from PK. Oh, wait. Just as I said, there's another question in the group. Oh, no, that's a different thread. The question is, what are 3 things you're looking forward to in 2024?
Oh, that's a really good question. My 50th birthday.
Oh, Jesus. That's... are you going to turn up to that, or are you just going to let everyone else celebrate?
It's at Hiker. I'm going to get the ferry.
You should ride a jet ski and just call in from the jet ski.
Yeah, I should have invites out over the Christmas break, which I'm working on I'm making some moves for my 50th birthday.
Nice.
And I'm really looking forward to marking that milestone. And because it's a big milestone, the old half century.
Sure is.
And before I look forward to like 2024, 2023 has been a phenomenal year personally for me. It's just been a year of, lots of highs and lows and lots of life experience and lots of big life changes and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, just some big personal decisions were made this year that a guy makes when they're approaching 50 years of age, where you go, well, how the fuck am I going to live the rest of my life? Because I'm closer to the end than I am to the start.
Back 9.
And so it's the back 9, exactly. And so you got to really make the most of it. And so I made a lot of decisions this year that really set myself up for that. And it's been really liberating because it's more of a look towards the future than it is trying to hang on to the past. And so to look towards the future for 2024, yeah, it's interesting. I don't really want for anything. Like I have almost all the things that I want or need in life. I think, and I've read some really good books this year. I've read a lot of books this year. I've read more books this year than I have in the last maybe 5 years combined, right?
What else have you been doing on planes? You've been on a plane every fucking 5 minutes.
And that's where I read. It's interesting. I listen to podcasts. I listen to podcasts in the car, but I don't drive because I've got a scooter.
Yeah.
The battery's flat again.
Oh, shit.
I tried to start my car again. The fucking battery's flat. But I read on a plane, and I have a lot of travel lined up for next year. Which I'm really looking forward to. Looking forward to my 50th. Looking forward to growing the Rockstar business. Since signing up with Taki has been amazing. I've barely scratched the surface of what's possible within the Rockstar business, and it's already moving in the right direction, which I'm really happy about. And I'm looking forward to taking some people on that journey with me. And that's it. So it's really funny. I just don't want for really material things because I kind of bought all of those things this year. Like, like I have the VFR, the motorbike. It's the bike that I've always wanted.
Yeah.
Right. I live in a nice apartment that I renovated myself, and it's painted in the best color. And
100%.
and I've got great friends, and talking shit with you once a week is good fun. And yeah, that's it. It's just the simplicity of it all. I think I just finished reading Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, right? Because I know you know Mark Manson pretty well, don't you?
Well, I used to know him. He knows who I am. I know who he is, but he's become massively famous since I used to know him. Yeah.
He's really interesting because he basically says in the book, when he started living life in the breadth of all of the experiences that one could have, traveled to the most number of countries, experience the most number of things, and then it becomes like and then he says life becomes like the Netflix thing where you've got this choice of just hundreds of movies and all really good ones, but because you got so much choice, you pick nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, more choice does not lead to more happiness.
No, exactly. And that's the thing that I've sort of come to the realization is I've had a pretty eclectic life, and I have had a lot of experiences, and I'm looking forward to focusing on some of the things which I deem to be more important and going deeper on those things.
Nice.
And experiencing the depth of stuff. And I don't know what it is yet, but there it is.
Good. I'm happy for you, Andrew.
That's my 2024.
That's been a good year for you. Well, before I get to that, when you're down the coast next week, make sure we catch up, okay?
Yes, okay.
Because I will probably forget and you'll probably forget. But if you go to Currumbin, hit me up, I'll come with you, or whatever. If you're coming through this way, let me know. Because I am off. I haven't had a week off I don't even know if I've ever had a fucking week off.
When does the coffee shop open back up again? Straight after New Year's, or
the week after? Yeah, we're going to be there on New Year's Day because the Tuesday is full of deliveries. But yeah, I don't know if I can improve that. I don't want to fucking bring the mood down. I've had a fucking awful year in so many ways, and towards the end of last year, start of this year, the worst of my life in so many ways. But because in my head, all I think about all the time is my work.
Yep.
It's just the way my fucking head works. It's always been like that, whether it's going well, whether it's going badly. It's just how my head works. And my work was taken away from me, at the start of this year. And everything that I'd ever worked for just disappeared overnight. And I didn't take it well.
Mm.
And I've been enjoying these weekly calls too, because, you know, it's been fun and I like talking about the industry. I like being part of the industry, but the reality is I'm not part of the industry, and I have no involvement in the industry anymore. And this was what I thought my entire future would be for me, my family, my kids, and all of that. And it's been really, really hard. But when I think about next year, I think about the things that are going well, and I think it's almost a similar thing to you said. It's like, well, what's happened this year has left me with fewer choices. And in many ways that can be good. Like, you know, my relationship's going really well.
Yep.
My kids are great. My new business is great.
Yep.
And
Your boat driving skills, not so much.
Not so much. I've got things to look forward to again. Like, you know, like I had to sell my house, which was just soul destroying for me because it was a symbol of everything I'd managed to achieve.
Yep.
And so next year I'm hoping to focus on those things. I don't know, maybe buy another house with Erin would be nice.
That'd be cool.
And, you know, hang out with the kids, be a good dad, rebrand the coffee business, turn it into something that's doing well, that represents what I believe in, and get over the fucking trauma that has been the last 18 months.
Yeah.
That's
that was the other thing that Mark Manson said in that book. It was like the things that it's the negative experiences that they're the things that really, you know, set you up to really sort of work out the things that you actually give a shit about. And
yes, yeah, it's funny. And you reset too, and you kind of your reality changes, and therefore the way you think about things changes, and you get excited about things that would have bored you to tears in the past, and vice versa, and you get a new sense of you know, you get less comfortable, and when you get less comfortable, you're more motivated, and that can be good too. So yeah, it's going to be.
Did you get that water out of the boat?
Not yet, but next week. Next week, that's why I want you to hit me up when you come down here, because I'm planning out our.
You want me to help you get the water out of the boat?
Week. Like no. Every day we've got something planned, so
okay.
I need to know when you're coming down, because otherwise I might have fucking some activity planned with the kids. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I'll let you know.
One of the days is a boating day, but it'll be full of kids. So, but we could do another boating day if you're free, or just something else.
You need to get the water out of the boat.
No, I will. That's one of the jobs.
Because that's rainwater. It's going to go stagnant. It's probably stinky already.
A lot of mosquitoes and midges around here.
Yeah. In your boat.
Yeah. Yep. That's a next week problem.
Is it out the front of your house?
Yeah. Easy fix. Easy fix. All right. Well, thank you to everyone who's listened to this podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Have a great Christmas, a safe Christmas with friends and family. Hopefully Dan and I might cross paths with you in our travels over the Christmas break and that sort of thing. And if you see us around, just say hi and spend time with family and friends. It's important. And family's important. You know what else is important? My mum's dog that I dropped $1,000 on yesterday. She's got 2 Maltese Shih Tzus, Stella and Ruby. Okay. And they're senior dogs, right? They're like 13 years old, so they're pretty old. And Stella, who's the oldest one, got a tick behind her ear.
Oh, no.
Like paralysis tick. And she couldn't blink one of her eyes, and she couldn't swallow, and she had to wind up in hospital for the night. And Mum's 81, and she's a pensioner and that sort of thing. She can't. Those dogs are her world, and so I paid for the bloody dog to be in hospital for the night.
If you had asked me for advice in that situation, I would have said go to the dog and say blink if you're not okay, and when it didn't blink, just leave it alone.
Nah, I couldn't. Mum loves those dogs, and it's worth it. It's only money. Who gives a shit, you know? And it was just funny that's what it costs for a dog to be in hospital overnight on a trip.
Yeah. Dogs are money. That dog's more on the back 9 than you are. That dog's on the final hole.
Exactly. But worth it.
Yeah. On that note,
see you next year.
See you next year. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.